Start the recording. We are official. So we're going to dig right in, talk about social distancing in your club, and hopefully provide each of you the opportunity to share out and think about how you can apply some of these best practices and standards to what you're doing with your young people as you return to open your club. So our objectives for this training are as follows. Our entire goal will be at the end of this training for you guys to understand the main components of social distancing. As a reminder, it is going to change state by state, county by county, city by city. So we're just going to talk about some of the broad strokes of social distancing that we happen to have seen across the globe. We'll then talk about identifying how to create physical club spaces that are going to support social distance requirements, and then recognize how you can alter games and activities to incorporate social distance requirements. Now, to meet those objectives, we are going to do the following. We're going to start off with a community builder called Show Me, and we'll jump into that in just a moment. We're then going to jump into social distancing, the what and the why, physical club space, positively reframing, how to adapt with quality, and then how we can apply these things in your clubhouse. So without any further ado, I want to jump into an opportunity for me to get to know each of you. So what's going to happen in just a moment is I want you guys to take about 90 seconds when I say go. You'll take 90 seconds and I'm going to ask you to find an item in the space you happen to be in that makes you feel nostalgic, something that makes you think back to, oh, good memories, good times. You're just going to find one item that you would not mind showing on the camera. You'll have 90 seconds to grab this item, and then you will have a moment to write down why you chose that item, i.e. what makes you nostalgic about that item. A few of you will have the option to share with the larger group, but we all will have the option to show our item on camera. What questions do you have for me before I say our keyword and we actually have the opportunity to go find this special item? All right, so you can go ahead, and I totally forgot to share my camera. Sorry, guys. Here I am. You guys can go ahead, take a moment. You can turn your camera off if you want before you bring your item back, but go 90 seconds to find an item that makes you feel nostalgic. Go. Timer starts now. Oh my gosh, I had so many of those growing up. Awesome, awesome. Keep your item, keep your item. We're all going to show together, but I love it. Yes. So just one item. Got about 45 seconds left if you haven't found your item yet. Ooh, love the mug. Thank you. Nice, nice, nice. 25 seconds, 25 seconds to find your item. We are down to the last 10 seconds. Awesome. So hopefully everybody is back to their screen. Again, if you're feeling safe and comfortable, please go ahead and share your camera. This way you can show your item. Please do also share. So on the count of 3, those of you who feel like you want to share, we are all going to show our item on screen. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, yes. Oh, wow. That's a Raggedy Ann doll. That is cool. Loving the football, the troll, the mug. I see it. Looks like a calendar somebody's holding up. And take a moment and type in the chat, what made you select the item you selected? Why does that item make you feel nostalgic? I'll share a few of you who are sharing in the chat out loud with others. Love the Nintendo, Christian. Yes. Take it back old school. Brenda shared, my mother gave me this mug in 4th grade. That was in 1984. It reminds me how strong I am. Wow, thank you so much for sharing. And heads up for you, fourth grade, and you've been able to keep it and not break it. That's that deserves its own amount of shine and props, because I promise it would have been cracked and glued together if it was mine. Sandra shared her children love Raggedy Ann. Now they're adults. Oh, thanks so much for sharing. Anybody else, feel free. You can unmute yourself to share out loud or type in the chat. We've got Stephanie. Tim Duncan poster. It reminds me of high school when he first came to San Antonio. Man, and he had an amazing career in San Antonio. Thank you for sharing. So I shared this and started with this particular icebreaker because there are always things that make us feel nostalgic. And as we move into talking about social distancing, we're also going to realize that a lot of us have some things that we're realizing we're not going to be able to do with our young people, and we're going to miss that. There's going to be memories associated with that. And so what I want you guys to do as we roll through this training, we're going to talk a lot around how do we positively reframe social distancing. So we are looking at the benefits that can come from this and not just looking at the things that we could possibly lose in our interactions with our young people. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. But if wonderful memories with me. So let's get into social distancing, the what and the why. What I actually want each of you guys to do is, whether you are already open to Club Youth or you're getting ready to open to Club Youth, I'd like you to take a moment and type in the chat for me. How are you currently explaining social distancing to maybe your members or your kids if you're not currently back in the club? You can use the chat to type it up, or you can unmute yourself. But when you're explaining this to young people, how do you explain it? Why are we social distancing, and what is it? Sorry, guys got a sneak peek there. Anybody want to unmute themselves and share why we are social distancing? How do you explain it to your youth? One of the main reasons we would say you social distance is because of safety. Safety is our number one priority at Boys and Girls Clubs, and I'm sure each of you have heard that statement before. That is why we want to make sure we want young people to understand that some of the new requirements and the ways we're asking them to interact and the ways we're going to interact within the staff are to keep them safe. And so when we frame up why we are social distancing and what it is, it helps young people understand that it's there to meet their needs and not just there to be some random rule we're putting out to them. So it's important to frame this number one in safety, which is one of those 5 key elements of positive youth development. So when we think about it and we think about that safety piece, we all know there's 2 components to safety. We've got emotional safety and physical safety. So when we think about social distancing, it's important to know that when we explain it, it really is a set of actions that we are taking as a collective community to stop or slow the spread of highly contagious diseases. In this case, we are specifically doing it as we're looking at COVID-19. But it's important that young people know that the reason we're taking this action and the reason we're all taking this action is so that we can slow that spread. So they're going to be asked to do some things more frequently and maybe do some things they've never done before that's going to help us keep them safe. That's going to include things like washing hands and making sure that during club activities, the recommendation is every 30 to 45 minutes, young people pause and wash their hands thoroughly. Your club may have some requirements that they're implementing around wearing cloth face coverings. This may mean that staff will wear face coverings. Some clubs have decided staff and youth will wear face coverings. You'll want to check with your club and your local public health authority, but if that is something that your club is going to be doing, make sure that you're explaining to young people why it's happening and what that means. And then most of us will be adhering to that maintaining 6 feet of distance between others. So what does that look like in our club? You know, really helping kids understand what is 6 feet, why are we doing it? And the main component there is we are going to keep that physical safety so that we can make sure that everybody is staying healthy. So some things that you'll want to consider are utilizing daily reminders. We are honestly asking young people to change their behavior. We are asking ourselves and our staff to change their behavior. So we want to make sure that these reminders are something that we offer daily and something that we positively encourage. So explain to members how staggering times that we're going to the bathroom and even times that we're going to be eating are being done so that we can keep them safe, not just keeping them from actually interacting with their friends. Remind members where those medical needs or areas are located. Where do they go if they're not feeling well? Where do they find what they need? Make sure that they know every day what that expectation is. Make sure all members know not to make any physical contact with others. That includes with staff and also other youth. So it's important to make sure that we're pausing and giving them alternatives. Because as you guys know, when we come up with rules and guidelines, we don't always want to say, no, don't stop, because it puts into young people's heads what to do. We want to tell them what to do instead. So allowing them to understand how we can still greet each other and enjoy each other's company without using physical contact. Explain why it's important for all members to remain in their designated areas. I know many clubs are looking at a variety of ways that they'll be rotating young people during the summer and also in the fall. This may mean that all youth stay with the same staff in the same area all day. This may mean that all youth stay with the same staff, but they rotate from area to area. There are some clubs who are allowing young people to rotate in their pods and staff stay the same. Regardless of what your club's rules and guidelines are, make sure you're explaining to young people the importance of staying in their cohort group, because as young people mix in groups, it heightens the risk of spreading disease. Ensure members know how to move throughout the club safely. What are going to be your rules and guidelines? Some clubs have chosen to put down, like, you walk up this hallway, you got to walk down that hallway. I remember having that in elementary school, having those designated staircases. One staircase went up the stairs, the other staircase was used to go down. Whatever your club is going to be using to help kids move and rotate throughout the club, make sure we're reminding young people what that is. And more importantly, keep in mind, everyone is learning, and there will be times when members forget. So especially when they're having fun and playing games, they're going to forget. They may high five, they may forget and hug someone. So it's important that we don't lose our cool, that we gently remind members that we need to keep our hands to ourselves so that we can stay safe and continue to have fun. As you look at this list of some of the things that I've laid out, what are some of the rules and guidelines your clubs have for your members to make sure that they are social distancing? Please use the chat, or again, I'd love for it to hear a few voices so I don't feel like I'm talking to myself, to just pipe in and share with me, what are some of your guidelines? Everybody can unmute themselves if they'd like to talk. I'll wait for 2 volunteers to share out. What are some of the guidelines as you're considering returning to club that your club has already put in place?
We are limiting capacity for our club.
Okay. And so what does that look like for you guys? What is your youth staff to youth ratio going to look like?
1 to 15, 15 to 1, no more than 15 per staff member.
Thank you very much for sharing, Nicole.
Sure.
Let's get one more person. What are some of your guidelines?
We're also limiting on our numbers. We're 1 in 12. And we also have the same staff with the kids all day. So they're rotating every area, but it's just the same group the entire time.
Gotcha. Okay, so they're staying at what we're calling family groups, but they get to go to different areas. Thank you for sharing. So as you've heard right here, the numbers are going to vary based on where you're at, where your city is located. And so it's important to know what those are, whether it's 1 to 12, 1 to 15. Some folks I've heard are 1 to 9. And then thinking about how are you going to utilize the space. And so regardless of how you do choose and your club decides, just make sure that that's something that we are explaining to our young people. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share these instructions, and then in just a moment, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and upload a document for each of you guys. What we're going to do is there is a social distancing in the club document that I'm going to share. And your assigned breakout rooms, in just a moment, I'm going to use the little Harry Potter magic and send you guys away to some breakout rooms where you're going to be able to talk and discuss in small groups. I'm going to ask that you do two things for me. You're going to be taken to your assigned breakout room, but before you go, I want you to download the document I'm going to share in the chat. If you are in an odd number breakout room, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, you are going to be reading page 3 in your breakout room. If you are in an even number breakout room, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, you are going to be reading page 4 as a collective team. What you're going to do once you guys read this as a team is you're going to identify the top 3 points that you're going to come back and share with other people. This is called expert group. So you're going to read your page as a group. You're going to come up with what are the 3 highlights that you think are important from the section that you read. And you are going to identify who in your group is going to report back and share with the rest of us once we all come back together. What are those top 3 important points? What questions do you guys have for me before I first actually share the document and then get you into your breakout room? All right, so in just a moment, if you are on your computer, you'll be able to see this. If you are not on your computer, I do want to let you know, unfortunately, you will not be able to see this. And so you'll want to make sure that somebody in your group shares their screen so that everyone can see the document if you have anyone on their cell phone. So please let me know if you can see the document, and in this moment, go ahead and click on that document so that you have it to keep. All right, so what we're going to do in just a moment is I am going to send you an invitation to join a breakout room. You are going to accept that invitation. In those rooms, I'm going to just do a quiz. If you are an odd number group, what page are you guys reading? Type it in the chat or show me. I see fingers. Yes, yes. If you're an odd number, you are reading page 3. If you are an even number group, what page are you guys reading? Oh, I've got some fun. Yes. 4, yes. So if you're an even number group, you're reading page number 4. Awesome. How many key points are you going to write down as a team to share back with us when we come back together? 3, absolutely, absolutely. Perfect. So I'm going to send you away to your groups. I will be coming into each group just to check in on you guys if you need any assistance, but you are going to first take a moment and read, identify your top 3, and you have 5 minutes for this activity, but I'll message you guys before I bring you back. All right. Have fun. So you each should have received a message on your screen to join your breakout room. Please go ahead and accept that, and it will magically take you to your breakout room. For those of you still hanging out in the main group, are we having any issues accepting our link to join the breakout? All right. Jeremy or Jolene, Lenora, Noe, or Pete, can you guys hear me? Are you guys having any tech issues joining your breakout? All right. Jeremy, Lenora, Jolene, or Noe, can you guys hear me? If so, you should have received an invitation to join a breakout group, and your group is patiently awaiting your presence. All right. Rosa, looks like we've got your audio set up. You should have an invitation on your screen to join a breakout group. Please go ahead and join that group, and they can update you on what you guys are reading and then preparing to share back. Jeremy, Lenora, or Noe, if you guys can hear me, I'm sorry, Jeremy, Lenora, or Jolene, if you guys can hear me, you have received an invitation to join your breakout group. If you can go ahead and join those groups, and you can work in those small groups on your assignment.
Restrict hallway use through staggered release of groups. Try to avoid taking multiple groups to the bathroom at once. Avoid having all groups use the bathroom right after lunch or recess. Stagger playground use rather than allowing multiple groups to play together, and limit other activities where multiple groups interact. I can keep going. Modifying activities to provide a fun, engaging experience for members. Get members engaged in helping to modify their
Sue, how we doing over here?
Hi, this is Pete. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I was driving. I'm at the office now, so I had to hear on my phone, so I'm walking into my office right now.
Oh, I just found the document.
Okay,
We're supposed to read page 4.
yes. And then we're supposed to give 3.
We may not, I don't know. We may push it, we may even push it back depending on the number of cases that continue to rise. So I guess what we're doing, we're just kind of really at the mercy of whatever the cases are. We would love to open the clubs and let the kids in now.
Mm-hmm.
But because those cases are continuously rising, it's very, very, very scary. And then a lot of people in this area are asymptomatic. So that's another problem that we're having here.
Gotcha.
So all of these practices would be great for us. But because we're in the area that we're in, we have so many challenges. We're understaffed, which we were able to operate the way we were before this with the staffing that we have. But now that we're gonna have to clean, and we're gonna have to keep everybody in one room. And as we rotate rooms, someone has to come in and clean the rooms and stuff. So that's we got to take all of that in consideration too.
For sure. All right, y'all. Well, let's go back to the main group.
Welcome back. Awesome. Great to see some beautiful faces on the screen. So I just want to open it up. You each had a chance to either read page 3 or page 4 in that social distancing guide. I would love to have you guys popcorn in and just share one of the 3 facts that you feel like were important to share with others who did not read the same page that you guys read.
Our group thought it was important to reinforce the social distancing procedures with the use of signs and verbal reminders constantly.
Yes, so those signs, visual. Lots of us are visual learners, so having the visual signs and then the verbal reminders to reinforce. Thank you so much for sharing, Brenda.
My group, we really like the idea of using the cool down kits. Just having those at the ready, I think the kids would really enjoy it. It's just a nice thing to utilize.
Yes, cool down kits, having something already set up. The more we can prepare on the front end of things that may happen, that's going to help us. And so having the kits where the young people can just, here you go, having manipulatives, having things they can do to really center themselves if and when they need a moment to break from the group. Thank you. What are some other facts that you guys found?
We talked about the grouping members and having like family groups. That's worked really well for our sites that are open and have been open. So they each have their family groups and they stay with those groups all day long, so that if anybody were to contract COVID, it would only be that those 9 or 12, however many kids would be exposed to it, as opposed to everybody. So they stay primarily in their own space as well. So that's worked really, really well, and that was one of the things we talked about.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you very much. And those family groups keeping the same kids together with the same staff. So if something were to happen, contact tracing is a lot easier when you're utilizing that strategy. Yeah.
One point in our group was when it comes to new games is not only just teaching, but reteaching constantly, because kids can forget as things become fun. So it's something that we have to constantly do after each activity.
Yes. Thank you, Mary Lou. Yes, that reinforcement and reteaching. It's not something that kids are going to be able to just flip a switch and change. It's not something that we've been able to flip a switch and change, if you want to be 100% honest. And so really just making sure that we're prepared and we understand that it's going to take a lot of consistency and a lot of reinforcement. Thank you, guys. All right, let's jump back in. So let's talk about that behavior change, how to change behavior and how we actually use positive reframing to help us do that. So I want you guys to reflect for a moment and feel free to either verbally share or type into the chat. What has been the hardest thing for you to change or adapt to during this time with all of the social distancing? It doesn't have to be with work, it can just be your hardest thing.
I think not knowing what to expect on a day-to-day basis, because everything is so ever-changing. It's there's a lot of anxiety in that, not knowing what to expect.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Just not even knowing, every day having to look up and say, what's new and how do I adapt and become agile and flexible? Thank you, Nicole. Anyone else?
I think
go ahead.
I think one of the hardest things for us is the fact that we're at the mercy of something that, for one, we don't have a precedent for, and then for two, that it's really unseen. We're at the mercy of how numbers are. If the numbers go up, we have to change. If the numbers go down, then we can change. So it's just being able to adapt, period, and being at the mercy of something that we have no clue.
Absolutely. I say it all the time. I was telling someone the other day, my grandmother just celebrated her 103rd birthday. And I said, nobody has lived long enough to know what we're going through right now. And she's 103. And she's even like, we've never experienced this. So it's really important to know that we're all learning this together too. So being flexible, being agile is important. Brenda shared, I am a PE teacher. Oh, sorry, I went pretty fast there. I'm a PE teacher for over 20 years, and the hardest thing for me is learning the new way to play with zero equipment. Yes, Brenda, and don't worry, we're going to save some time in this training, and we're going to talk about just that right there. Thank you. Yeah, it's new. Like, there are go-to games that you're used to playing, especially when you think of summer, and think about the things that we do in recess. And so that's important to keep in mind. Mary Lou shared, not touching my face, feeling unsure. Oh, when that first don't touch your face thing came out, I probably touched my face 100 times just because I was trying not to touch my face. Yes, yes, there's ton, and there's some resources, found over 180 games that we can play, absolutely. And Brenda, I'd love if you want to share that resource in here, we'll share some at the end too, but there are definitely places now where things you can do, places you can go to find those resources. Target runs, oh my gosh, yes, we can no longer just randomly go to Target and roam around for hours because it's probably not the safest thing for us to do. So as we think about how we've kind of been challenged to deal with change, what do you think has been the hardest thing for our youth?
For our youth, and my kids go to club because I'm a club employee. So like for my kids and for the kids at their particular site and across the board really, because I visit all the sites, the hardest thing has really been the 6 feet apart, like understanding what that means and continuing to enforce it. And at some point it almost feels to them like they get in trouble if they're not 6 feet apart. And for kids that grow up in the same household, it's been especially difficult because we want to enforce the 6 feet apart no matter if at home that you're in the same home or not, because other kids see you being next to your brother, your sister, and they want to emulate that. They want to come around, and so it creates this kind of mentality of like, oh, now it's okay. So like for my daughters, they want to hang out, they want to spend time together. And yesterday they came home and they were so upset because their whole class got in trouble because all day long they would not stay 6 feet apart. And so they ended up, not being able to do the activities for that day and doing something different. They read instead of going on their electronics yesterday, which was awful for them. But that 6 feet apart really has been a struggle. I mean, my kids are 6 and 7 years old, and so especially for the kindergartners as well, I know across the board we're struggling extremely. I mean, it's with just trying to enforce and find positive ways to make sure that expectation is held.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, it's tough. And it's important that as we reframe, that's where this comes in, that positive point. We don't want kids to feel like if they do something that they're used to doing, they're in trouble, while we still have to keep them safe. So it's really that nice balance between trying to make sure that as we do this, we frame it in the why, and we help young people understand that you're not in trouble. Here we do this way so that. And so, yeah, that's pretty tough. A couple in the chat, I don't want to ignore those. Brenda shared, our kids in the club struggle with masks and staying 6 feet apart. Our kids who can't come to the club and they actually want to, they worry, there's some worry about kids who would normally be in our programs. What's going on now? What's going on in their homes and in their households, and being away from friends, being away from a safe space for some of them is important. Mary Lou shared, hard to understand why their world has changed. They don't understand how something they can't see affects everything they can and can't do. Yeah, really taking a moment. Sometimes we think they get it, and it's hard, and adults are grappling with the same thing. So how do we make sure that we're talking about this in a way where young people understand? Yes, the same. It's a shame some of my kids can't have human contact with their friends and staff members. Absolutely. And so how do we provide that type of contact without having touch? And that's something that we've got to think about and prepare for. That's what gets me to that positive reframe. As we think about what our young people are currently struggling with, we want to make sure that for every requirement that our club is going to have, whether it's masks, 6 feet apart, we can't rotate around the club, whatever the new rules and guidelines you are going to use are, you've got to make sure that on a daily basis, young people understand the what and the why. It's also important to replace old routines with new ones. So replace it so it doesn't feel like something is just being taken away and now there's a gap. What's the new way we're going to do this? So if I used to greet my kids in the club and we all had a handshake, or especially at my club when I worked, there was always a hug. Like as kids got off the bus, they could either hug Miss Alise or give Miss Alise a high five. If we can't do that anymore, what are we going to do? Can we make up a silly dance? So every time we see each other, we can, because the point of the hug or handshake was the acknowledgement that I saw you, was the joy that I had. And so I don't necessarily have to hug you to let you know that I'm happy to see you here today. And so how do we start to prepare? And believe it or not, incorporate youth voice in how we change that. If we explain why we can't do it this way anymore, and here's our new guidelines, how do we also invite youth to come up with, so how can we give each other recognition? How can we greet each other when we see each other while still adhering to these new guidelines? People make mistakes. Humans make mistakes, and kids are human, and we as adults are human. So it's important that we redirect and do so in a positive way. And more importantly, practice makes perfect. And what I mean by that is we've got to practice these things every day and be consistent. So if you're using a poly spot for kids to know where to stand if we're making a circle, how are we making a game out of that? You know, we can make a game out of any of these types of things to make it fun. Everybody's got to sit in their chair, touch a poly spot, come back to their chair. Okay, now you touch a poly spot, come back to your chair, touch the wall. Give them things to do so we are consistently making sure that they know when we say the poly spot, we say the chair, we say these directions, they know exactly what we're talking about, and it's fun and enjoyable for them. So now we're going to get into a little bit of fun, where we're going to talk about how we can actually start to adapt some of our activities so that it meets social distance. So a couple of things that I've shared as best practices, and then you guys are actually going to have a chance to adapt some real activities yourself right here in this training. So some best practices that we found have been to designate clear boundaries. Make those boundaries visible so young people know exactly where they are and what they're doing. So if you're in the computer lab and you want clear boundaries, remember, young people, we have to sit every other chair. Probably move every other chair out of the way so they're not even having to worry about those other chairs and running and sitting next to the young person next to them. Have colored spots or tape that designate areas where they can stand or sit. Makes it easy and visual for you to be able to say, everybody find a pink duct tape to step on. Now everybody knows exactly what that is, and you don't have to have them guess what 6 feet look like. You can actually have it identified with something they can visually see. Modify running games, because that's when things get lots of fun and crazy sometimes, is we're playing these running games and then we end up very close. And so have you do other things. I know one thing that we learned as we went through some of the PlayWorks training and we started to use this in our clubs was like, what are ways you can get to a spot that don't require running and give them something to focus on? I want you guys to zombie walk. I want you to do a moonwalk to your spot. Walk like you're walking on a runway, but give them some movement modifications that makes it more playful and silly, but immediately takes running off the table. Games where we're used to using our hands to touch balls and play things, how do we play it soccer style and keep things on the floor and use our feet to play certain games that will require a ball instead of using our hands? If an activity or a game is played with a large number of players, how do we consider breaking that down so smaller youth are involved? And then more than anything, use some attention getters and transitions. And attention getters are those things that you can call in response to get young people's attention. That way, if they are getting close, if they are doing something in this game where you have to pause everyone and redirect and give new instructions, you have a way to get them back to attention without kind of pulling the rug out and taking the fun out. So just for fun, for those of you guys who use attention getters, I'd love for y'all to share me a couple of attention getters that you've used in the chat. As you do so, I have to say that I think my favorite attention getter that I've been using, especially in trainings, have been Red Robin, and everybody responds, yum. Type up your favorite attention getters. What are some ways that you get kids' attention to pull them back? Yo, 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 what's up, what's up? Okay, I like it. Getter you have? Oh yes, we used this a couple of years ago when this song was hot. Kiki, do you love me? Yes, something, and it brings something where kids actually realize you're a little bit cool. Except now we can't use that because then they'd say, Miss, that was like 2 years ago. Yes, waterfall, Very great one. And again, the whole purpose is if you are teaching that and young people know when I say this and you respond back to me, all eyes on me, now you can redirect. So we can, issue new rules out again if for some reason young people are, taking this game and saying, oh, we broke those social distance guidelines, but you're giving them something to call, oh yeah, to infinity and beyond. The little ones really love that one. It amazes me how Toy Story is still popular in 2020 when I feel like the first Toy Story came out in 1997, 99. It's amazing, 20 years, still popular. So when you're actually looking at current activities that you have, I want you to consider the following questions as you think about adapting it. Can this activity be modified to meet social distance guidelines, i.e. can we change one or two things about this and it can still be played and be safe? Where is this activity appropriate to facilitate? Should it be inside, outside? What room of the club is optimal for activity? Do I need to move some things to make it optimal? I used to tell my staff all the time, not only do activities need to be kid appropriate or age appropriate, we need to make sure that they are space appropriate. So just thinking in the spaces, especially for those of you who have shared that you're going to be keeping your young people in their family groups in the same space of the club, you want to make sure that you have movable chairs and tables so that you can do a variety of activities in that space. And just because you're in the computer lab, you don't only have to do computer activities. Is there adequate space to allow 6 feet of distance between all members and staff? How many members can participate in this activity and meet social distance guidelines? And then what supplies are actually needed for this activity? One thing that's important around supplies is whenever possible, we need to make sure that young people have their own set of supplies individually. So this means if you are doing an art activity, each young person should have their own scissors, glue bottle, markers, crayons. They should not be sharing those amongst their group. That's a best practice there. Same comes if we're in the gym and we're playing activities that require basketball. We want to make sure that there's a basketball for each young person and they're not having to share their basketball. Again, just another added measure to take that risk down to almost no risk if we're making sure that each young person has their own equipment and that we are sanitizing that equipment at the end of use before the next group uses it. What questions do you guys have about some of these guidelines or how this would look in your class? All right, so now we're actually going to have a little bit of fun. You guys are actually going to have a chance to adapt a game for yourself. In a moment, I am going to upload the Back Pocket Program Hints 2 guide. There are going to be a choice of different games that you are going to pick, and you are actually going to adapt that game based on using social distancing. So the idea is making sure that the game or activity does not require young people to actually physically touch each other, that they can stay 6 feet apart, and that they have their own materials if it requires materials. So you are going to have a moment to go away in your group. You're going to read the current directions for your game. You're going to identify which of these need to change because it doesn't meet social distance. And you are going to have a chance to actually, in your team, decide how you would adapt and play this game with young people, meeting our social distance guidelines. When you guys come back, you're going to share with the whole team. You're going to describe the game that you have. You're going to explain the rules and point out what you changed and how you're going to reinforce social distance. You're going to identify what cool attention getter you're going to use for that activity to pull us back. And you're going to ask us as a group for questions if we have any questions on how we're playing the game, because we're actually going to pretend like we're going to play it as a team. Well, to show you the games that you'll have a choice to choose from and then upload your document. All right, so in a moment, I'm going to upload the Back Pocket Program Hints. I will send the games as well in your chats as you get into your breakout room so you remember them. But you're going to be able to choose from Duck, Duck, Hoop, Human Tic-Tac-Toe, a game called Fruit Salad, Song Tag, and Sharks and Jets. This will be your choice. So when you get into your group, again, I will send this to everybody, but you'll be able to say, okay, which one of these do we want to pick? and you are going to adapt the game based on social distance requirements. So first things first, I'm actually going to upload the Back Pocket program hints so I can make sure that everybody can currently download them. All right. The chat, if you can see this and download it, just say yes if you can. Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is we are going to get you guys into your group. You'll get an invitation again, and as I promised, I am going to send, once you're in those breakout groups, I'll send the page numbers and the names of the games that you can choose from. You will have 10 minutes in these groups to both select your game, read the instructions for it, and then decide how you are going to adapt it. For those that said, no, you can't see it, I will upload it again. If you are on your cell phone, though, you actually cannot download it. So if you cannot see it and you are using Zoom from your cell phone, you are not able to see any files that I upload. So when you get into your larger group, I will actually ask that you have someone from your group share their screen and share this Back Pocket program here. So I'm uploading it again, just in case. And then if anybody has any problems when they get in their breakout rooms where there's not at least one person that was able to download it and share it, just message me and I'll come over and assist you. All right, I'm sending you to your rooms. Have fun. For those of you still in the main room, you should have received an invitation to join your breakout room. If you did receive that invitation, go ahead and click yes and accept, and it will take you to your breakout group. Victor, welcome. I am going to assign you to a group. Currently, they are in their groups right now, and they are adapting a game from the Back Pocket program hit to meet social distance guidelines. I'm going to send you to a group. Go ahead and accept, and they can catch you up. For those of you guys still in the main room, Christy, Kathy, Noe, Lenora, Abraham, are you guys having any issues joining your group? If so, just let me know and I can assist you. So you can let me know by using the chat or unmuting yourself. Christy, Abraham, Noe, Lenora, if you are having any issues joining your breakout room, please unmute yourself and let me know, and I can assist you. Welcome, Victor. We are all currently working in breakout groups. I'm actually going to send you to a breakout group. In this group, they will catch you up on exactly what you're working on. Christy, Abraham, or Lenora, how are we doing?
And try to find that one.
Okay, hold on, because I actually took a picture. It was Duck Duck Hoops,
Uh-huh.
page 12, Human
Okay.
Tic-Tac-Toe, page 41, Fruit Salad, page 72, Song Tag, page 101, and Sharks and Jets, page 106. So maybe Duck Duck Hoops?
Duck Duck Hoops.
Yep, let's do that one.
Okay, and that was page
12.
12.
And I have to mute my phone because my husband, we're getting carpet, so.
Ooh, nice.
Not really, because we bought the house like 2 years ago, and we should have gotten the carpet like I said in the first place, and we wouldn't be spending $4,000 on carpet. But anyway, look, that's off topic, so.
Okay.
It's at page 12.
I didn't see it.
I don't see it either.
Oh, Duck Duck Hoops.
Oh, there it is.
There we
Oh,
go.
it's actually at 11?
11. Somebody said 11.
Okay. No worries. There it is. We did it. We are.
They had to have
Session.
either last summer or this past school year,
Okay.
and they had to be current on their fees. And then we used DocuSign to bring on, so that we didn't have, paper applications or anything like that. So their timestamp on their application was their order that they went in for acceptance.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, and we're still accepting right now. We've got a couple of openings. We've got 9 openings at one site, 1 opening at another, and 3 openings at the other. And then the rest are closed right now. They're at max capacity. So.
And where is your facility, Miss Michelle?
We're in Murray County, Tennessee. So
Oh.
it's like South Central Tennessee.
Okay.
Alise, we already figured out what we wanted to do. So we branched off.
Awesome, cool. And if you want, feel free to pick another game too, if you want to adapt another one as well. And feel free to share best practices.
Cool.
We got this.
Very good. You're our spokesperson. You did great.
Good job, team.
I think we're ready.
Yeah, I think so too.
Go to 41 this year.
Oh, we need our attention getter.
Oh, attention getter? Oh, I got one.
Yeah.
It's one that I came up with called Pandora's Box,
Mm-hmm.
where you get a cardboard.
Oh, you're stuck in a group with yourself, Kathy? What happened? Oh. Oh, you don't have any microphone either. Darn. Okay. Have you been able to look at the activity itself and see if you can adapt an activity or two yourself? Can't find the playbook. Let me see if I can, I'm gonna upload it right here. You let me know if you can open this PDF. Okay, so it says that it's open. So Victor or Kathy, let me know if you can actually see this document. If you are on your cell phone, you won't be able to. Can either of you download it? Just say yes or no that way. Okay, perfect. Okay. Perfect. Okay. I'll give everybody about 3 more minutes. I'll give them a 3-minute kind of notice, and then we'll come back together. Okay, so Corinne is on her cell phone. If Kathy or Victor, can you guys share your screen and share the document so Corinne can see it? So down at the bottom center, there's a button that says share your screen. It says participants, then there's the chat, and then there's a green share screen with an arrow pointing up. If you press that arrow, yay, awesome, perfect. Okay, I'm giving everybody 3 more minutes just so that you guys have time at least to pick an activity. Lots of people did Duck Duck Hoop, so I would suggest maybe doing another one just so you could be a little different if you'd like. But I'm gonna put in the chat the options as well. Here you go. Perfect. All right, have fun.
Alise. Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. Sorry, I just realized my phone was muted on the computer. I was like, my phone isn't muted. But welcome back. This is your chance to share with the group what are some cool ways we can learn how to play some activities. So what I like to do is just popcorn around. What are some of the activities you chose to adapt? And you're going to share with us how you change that activity for social distancing. You're going to share with us the attention getter you're going to plan to use. And then also ask us for questions in case we have any questions that we have on how to play this game.
We chose,
go
ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
We chose the Duck Duck Hoops because that was the first one that we could remember the name of and the page of. So we started there. First off, it's like your typical Duck Duck Goose game. The kids are in a circle, except for you have 2 basketballs or kickballs, whatever type ball. Your kids are developmentally ready to shoot in a basket, and they go around and say duck, 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 duck. When you hit the kid, don't hit, but when you tap the kid and say hoops, they both run to get the ball. First one to make it in the hoop is the winner, and then the new person becomes the new it. So first off, we changed the name of it to match the theme of our week, which is Superhero Week, hypothetically, and we changed it to Hero, 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 Fly. Obviously, when our kids are in a circle, they have to be distance 6 feet apart, which you could go ahead and pre-tape your lines in your center circle is what I like to call it, a half court line. So our kids know already, boom, where they sit. Instead of tapping on the head, you could do a virtual high five. We don't want to point because that's kind of rude at every kid, but you can, virtual high five. So hero, 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 fly. And when you say fly, they both have to get up, and you have designated cones at the other end of the gym, or you could have a line, or you can have something, which in my case, we can't touch. So we can't go run and touch the wall and come back. So designated cones, run around your cone, first one back to their seat is the winner. And if the first one is back to their seat is the person who started in the seat and is not the first person doing the hero, hero, fly, they just simply change places. Oh, and our attention getter, we forgot to mention that. Let's do up, up, and away. There you go. Just boom. It's just
okay.
20 years.
I like it. Thank you so much, Brenda. What questions does anybody have around how we would play superhero? Hero, is that what you called it?
Hero, hero, fly.
Hero, hero, fly. Nice. Did anybody else choose to adapt this game, and did you have different guidelines? Please share, because now we're going to learn like 3 different ways to play it.
Yes, my team, we had the same game, but we modified it where we, instead of using basketballs, we used soccer balls and a goal instead of basketballs and a hoop. And,
nice.
And instead of having the kids go around the circle like in the original Duck Duck Goose game, we had someone in the center moving around kind of like a clock, where they would kind of like point in a direction where the kids were maybe about like 7 feet apart instead of 6.
Yes.
Yeah,
very cool.
And then as for an attention getter, we had one called Pandora's Box, where you have a box, a cardboard box or any kind of box. And what you do is you yell Pandora's Box and you open up the box and all the kids start screaming as loud as they can. And then as soon as you close the box, the kids have to stay silent.
Oh, so this is like a physical box they can see?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Anybody have any questions on how to play the soccer version of Duck Duck Goose? I think the clock pointing really added another element of a way to do the game without actually physically touching young people. So that was pretty sweet as well. All right. Anybody else? What game did you choose to adapt and how did you adapt it? Pete, it looked like you unmuted yourself. You want to share?
Yeah, I was just waiting, but I was just gonna say we, I guess we did Duck Duck Hoop too, so I was kind of like, we did the same thing. So we were looking at it as being that we're doing with 6 to 9. A lot of us, when we're giving a head count or we're doing the number thing, we forget, was I number 4, 5? What was I? So instead of when we're sitting in the circle or standing, we would do where we tape the numbers on the floor and we kind of did a little diagram.
Oh.
So we would tape the numbers on the floor. So when the kids are sitting and the person behind them is walking, they would say the number instead of tapping them at a distance. And then we were thinking everybody's going to have a different setup, either have one court on each side. One of our team members said their courts are called 4 corners, which I thought was because they have courts on each corner. And so I guess depending on the setup, you would modify it to the game. So it's kind of challenging the staff too, like, okay, what would you do different? But we also thought, okay, we can have some junior staff or members sanitizing the ball after each use, or we even threw in there socks, balloons, different things you can use. So we were really trying to think, what is it that you can do? But I think for us, we modified probably taping the floors with the number, so that way the kids can at least know what number they were when they are called when they get up. So.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. So you got a number, don't have to touch. And then you can decide whether you modify the balls. One option could be every kid has a basketball already, so they're just shooting with their basketball when their number gets called.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks, Pete.
No problem. Thank you.
Anybody else? Let's get 1 or 2 more. Did anybody do another game that wasn't Duck Duck Hoop? I feel like everybody chose that one because it was first. And if you chose Duck Duck Hoop, what was the way that you adapted it? All right, so what we're gonna do then, since I have no lucky volunteers just beating down my door to share out, I know that we all chose Duck Duck Hoop. It felt like a very fun one. I think we learned 3 different ways now how to play that game. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen and I'm gonna share a game that may seem a little bit more difficult for us to adapt, and that is Sharks and Jets, you know, a good old run and tag game. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on the screen, Sharks and Jets, and I want us as a group to come up with how we would adapt this game. All right, so got it up. Now let me share my screen. There we go. So if you can see it, Sharks and Jets, it's normally played with a football, 5 to 6 players. One person is chosen to be the Shark. The rest of the players are the Jets. The Jets line up on the opposite side of the designated area. To start the game, the Shark throws the football to one of the Jets. The catcher has to run to the other side without the Shark tagging them. Once tagged, players become Sharks and tag the other Jets. However, the new Sharks are not allowed to move from their spot where they were tagged. How would we change and adapt this activity to meet social? First of all, let's talk about what are the things we would have to change. Where would we have to make our tweaks?
With the tagging part, that seems to be the like one of the main issues with this game.
Yeah,
like sharing the same ball.
Exactly. So in the same football. Absolutely. So I hear Jackie already put in here, you can use pool noodles as a way to tag instead of actually physically tagging. So that's a great solve for the tagging. What about the idea that the Shark throws the football and that's how kids know when to run? Oh, Maria loves the pool noodle idea.
They could, I mean, instead of throwing a ball, I mean, it can just be a point at the person and they are the one that runs.
Yep, could just point, identify, yep. You could call them by name, exactly, which means you could call multiple names at one side and their goal would be to come from one end of the gym to the other. Absolutely. Any other ways?
Maybe you could do numbers.
Assign numbers, yeah. Another way we played this game too to get multiple kids running is colors. So if you're wearing a certain color, that's your cue to go from one baseline to the other. So anybody wearing blue. And so that way, especially as you get more sharks in the game, you have way more kids that you're trying to tag with the pool noodle because colors are going to automatically bring a larger number of kids across. Absolutely. So this is just an exercise to think about. Games that kids are used to playing can be adapted. It may take a little thought on the front end, but we can make some changes and tweaks, and these games still be fun and safe for our members to engage in. One thing that I would also suggest, and this was always a hit during the summertime, was we used to always do the triple play invent a game activity. It's a great idea too to have your young people, they've got their favorites. When I think of the kids at my club, we must have played Sharks and Minnows 1,000 times at the club. Like that was their favorite. Sharks and Minnows for our younger kids. 4 square, 50. So if kids know what the social distance guidance is, what does it look like to break them up into some small groups and have them do what you guys just did? You guys come up with a new way that we're going to play Sharks and Minnows, that we're going to play your favorite game that's going to meet the social distance guidelines. And that's one way to make sure that then you have a back pocket of tons of activities that you can pull out whenever needed to get kids active, to have fun, and to keep them engaged. What I'd like to do is I'm going to pull us to just, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the chat, I'm missing some things. How long is this webinar? I was under the impression it was just an hour and didn't plan any longer. I don't want to miss any of this information. Actually, it was scheduled for a 2-hour training. We are actually getting ready to get done. We'll be done literally in the next 10 minutes. But if you need me to email anything to you, just go ahead and put it in the chat and it can be emailed to you if you have to pop off right this moment. So what I'd like you guys to do is I actually want to pause and I want you to think about all that we talked about today. We talked about how we're going to positively reframe so that young people understand the new guidelines, the what and the why of social distancing, make sure that we can reinforce it in a positive way when young people forget or happen to break those guidelines, and then talk about things we want to consider when we are revamping and restructuring a game so that it meets those guidelines. I'd like you guys to use the chat, and I want to start with the question number 1. What's one thing that you're planning to stop doing as you return to club and we begin to adopt these social distance guidelines? What's one thing you're going to stop doing? It won't let me look at the chat. Sorry, guys. I have to take it down. Plan to stop physical contact, stop hugging and give high fives. Thank you. Hugs. Physical contact. What's one thing you're going to continue doing based on everything that we've talked about? So something you used to do that you're going to continue to do. Greeting kids by name, absolutely. Wellness checks. Smiling even though they can't see it. And what are ways that we can just let them know? I might have a mask on my face, but there are things I can do physically to let them know that I am smiling. Asking kids how they're feeling. Elbow taps instead of hand-to-hand contact, absolutely. Now, what are some things you're going to start doing? We talked about quite a bit today. What are some things you are going to start doing? Paint a smile on my mask. Yes. Other things you plan to start doing. Giving more positive feedback to members. Somebody's stealing your paint a smile on. I love it. I love it. We are here to share ideas. Absolutely. Stagger restroom times, and that is also important. Staggering restroom times, and you'll notice with some of the other safety trainings, if you haven't attended some of those, there are some good recommendations around bathroom procedures and keeping kids safe and social distance. Some even met if you happen to have enough stalls that you can identify one stall per age group, and that way you could also just guarantee that the same age group of kids are using the same stall in your restroom. So just some ways if you can do those types of things that are super helpful as well. So what I'm going to do for you guys is the first thing I'm about to upload in the chat is going to be a feedback survey. This is to give me some feedback on how this training went. Was it beneficial? Was it useful to you? And also this will automatically give you credit for participating in today's session. The next thing I'm going to upload are some of the documents that I mentioned. So one of the most useful things that I found is Asphalt Green's social distance activities. It gives you like 50 plus different games you can play. There are videos on how you can actually learn how to play them, and it's super easy. So you just click on that link right there, and it breaks it down by age group. Each one is a link, and there's a video that shows you how to play some of these new games. And so that's something that's super important and helpful as well. If you've ever downloaded the Youth Development Toolbox that we created, we have also gone through that and put social distance guidelines on there as well. So when you click on Quick Tools, we actually tell you which activities meet social distance standards, and you can just click on those, learn those rules, and play those games and activities also. So those are two really good resources that I would share. I do know that earlier in the training, we had someone else share that there was a resource that they knew of that had 180 plus games. So if you wouldn't mind, there we go. Oh, it includes Asphalt Distance, Asphalt Greens, and some other resources. So please click on that Google Drive right there as well. It's a great resource for you to keep. Brenda, do you mind if I share this with others?
Absolutely, I do not mind. Share away. Like I said in the chat, it's a working document that I never really intended to go out to the public, but we're a family and it's there, so you might as well use it.
Thank you. For those of you who have to jump, feel free. If there are any questions, now is the time. I'm going to open it up for any questions that you have, anything I didn't cover, any safety concerns. I'll be on for the next 10 minutes or so. Shoot away. And if you've got a Jet, thank you so much for your time and for your participation. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week.
This is Lenora Perez. I actually had to get on my phone and get off the app. Would you be able to send me the emails? I do have the Tools app as well on my phone, but for some reason it just didn't, I'm not able to see anything.
Lenora, what's your email address?
It is leecperez@yahoo.com.
I have LEEC. Is that a T as in Tom?
C as in cat.
C as in cat. ERZ?
P-E-R-E-Z. My last name is Perez, P-E-R-E-Z.
Okay. Can you send it to me as well? I had to jump in my car, so. Mine is BECCI43@yahoo.com.
Okay.
I'm still on here, but yeah, I had to go back and forth. So if you saw me leave and then come back, it was like, okay, my iPad doesn't have internet. Now I got to go back on my phone. So then it was like, wait a minute, I have it. So yeah, that was me.
How are you? And Sandra, I see you in the chat. I'll send it to you as well. And for all of you, what I'll do is I'll create a file. It's going to have the PowerPoint deck. It will have the recording of this and then the resources that I've shared on here. So the back pocket program hint as well. So you'll have all of that, and I'll send you guys a link to pull that.
Well, it'll have the evaluation too, correct?
Yeah, the PowerPoint deck has the evaluation in it. So that PowerPoint deck will have all of those resources.
Do I need to give you my email? I'm sorry, do I have to give you my email? Or you will see
if you can type it in, if you type it in the chat, I'll have it. That way it's easier. If you are only on the phone, those were the folks that gave it to me via
Yeah, I'm on my phone too, and I don't
Okay.
have a.
Okay, go ahead and give me your email.
It's Imelda Gonzalez 13.ig@gmail.com.
Okay.
So it's my name and then my 13, then dot, and then ig@gmail.com.
Okay. Got you. Perfect. And for those typing in the chat, I got you. You'll normally get this toward the end of the day once the recording is saved. Thank you.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Dixon.
Perfect.
Ms. Dixon.
Awesome. Yes.
Would you do my email also for me, please?
Okay.
B Jones at lumbytribe.com.
You said Lumbee, Lumbia?
Lumbee.
Thank you.
And send me all the information, please.
Everybody's going to get the same thing. Everyone will get the
Yes,
documents. You're going to get a link to the file. So you'll have
Thank
everything
you.
dragged into that same place. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Uh-huh. All right. Any other questions? Anything else? All right. Thank you. Feel free. Log off. Enjoy the rest of your week. And if you guys need anything, you'll have an email from me so you can contact me via email.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.